And here we are, this is the third video of my How to Draw Loki from Thor Ragnarok series. Hi, how you doing? My name is James, I am the box office artist, and welcome to part 3. Hopefully you're enjoying the way these videos are turning out. Again, I'm so curious to know what you think about this format of tutorial. Let me know in the comments down below. But right now we are going to get into lighting and rendering. Okay, again, this video is sped up, but hopefully you can follow along. So if I go too fast, if it's going too fast for you, feel free to use that pause button. Pause where you need to, because we are going to get into how I light and render this and my thinking. What's even more important is my thinking behind where I put all the shadows to this particular character. So without further ado, let's get to it. Let's get to lighting and rendering this Loki from Thor Ragnarok. Okay, so now time for lighting and shading. As I mentioned before, the lighting is from the top left. And again, the reason why most of the time the lighting is from the top left, because when I was doing the series of drawings for Inktober, the whole plan was to combine these images at the same time, so the lighting had to be the same. Okay, so that is why. So here, with the lighting and shading, again, you could do this with a pencil. You don't necessarily have to do this in ink. You could do this with a pencil, or you could even apply the same principles if you're using a marker as well. Okay, but the whole point here is I'm imagining the light coming from the top left and really hitting the surfaces. And the first question in my mind is, what kind of shadow would be cast? What parts of the body would be sticking out so the light would hit it and then cast a shadow underneath? So the obvious ones are, as you see here, the chest, so underneath the pectoral muscles there, that's why we would have shadow. Over here in the ab region, okay, we would have thicker shadows, right? So underneath the rib cage here, we would have some shadows. So we outlined some shadow, or the rib cage earlier. So now I'm just filling in those specific areas. Okay, now right now I'm using a Sharpie. You don't have to use a Sharpie. Some don't like using Sharpies because they do fade after a while. But you know, for our tutorial, I thought it would be okay just to use this. But adding the shadow under the arm here and also here. Now I'm also imagining, because of Loki's outfit itself, it has a lot of folds in it, mainly because of the material. Okay, it's a very leather-like material, so that all matters. So I wanted to make it feel like there were wrinkles in the actual, you know, the material itself, and in his actual costume itself. So light should hit that in certain areas there. So that's why underneath the folds, that's why I have those little lines there. That's light hitting underneath those particular folds. So right here, I'm adding shadows where the belt, this particular belt, how this belt would cast shadow. And of course, under the arm here, because the chest and the side of his body would actually cast a shadow on that arm, as well as really defining. And with the shadow here, I'm really able to define the musculature in that particular area here. Of course, adding shading light underneath the different plates here, like his arm plates there, adding in those shadows there. Okay, and right underneath, because light would hit the top of his arm, but the bottom of his arm naturally would not receive any light. So that's why we would have shadow under there, but it wouldn't be completely black, because we do have something called bounce shadow, or bounce light, where light would hit another surface and bounce underneath. So it wouldn't be completely black, completely 100% black. That's why I left a little bit of white area underneath that arm, but I would go back and add some more lines, which I will talk about when I get to the hatching area. So just going back and forth with the, you know, over the entire body, just thinking to myself where I'm going to add all the shadow here. Where the shadow? Where is the light hitting? Where will the shadow be cast? Okay, and as you can see here, underneath, behind that belt there, the shadow would cast light there. Okay, underneath the hand here, underneath the fingers, there would be a cast shadow. Behind the knife, there would be a cast shadow. Now in other tutorials, I will go over like different lighting systems that will actually help you determine where shadow would fall. But in this particular instance, again, top left, so I'm just thinking to myself, okay, where would that shadow land? And again, you don't have to do this with a marker. You could, or with a with black, you could do this with the darker color. But the theory itself would be the same. So again, I'm thinking to myself, where would this plate how this plate would cast a shadow and how this place would receive shadow. Okay, and again, just defining muscles, going back and forth here. Again, I'm not doing any cross-hatching yet, just adding in where I think the shadows are. Now here I'm actually starting the hatching processes. If you guys don't know what hatching is, I mentioned it before in many videos. Hatching itself is just straight parallel lines, okay? And what I'm trying to do here is trying to make it appear like there's a gradation around the surface, okay? Because like unless the shadow is extremely strong, unless the light is extremely strong, you wouldn't get a hard line of shadow. You would get the light going around surfaces. So that's what I'm trying to imitate here, or mimic, is the lines going around. Okay, so as you can see here, wherever there's a fold, I would add some lines here. I add some lines to reinforce that the light is going around it. Also, I'm adding some, just some extra folds here, just to make it really feel like these are folds in the outfit itself. That's why I'm adding all those lines. There. Again, not a necessary step. You could just use another, for example, if you were using a marker, you could just use a lighter shade than the one you used for the shadow. But here itself, I'm just adding all these little lines here. Again, right now I'm just adding a little bit of detail here. I'm just adding straight lines because, as I mentioned before, life's not perfect, okay? Life is not perfect. Nothing is completely clean, so adding those lines just adds the little extra bits of dirt to it. Okay, again, going around here, seeing where I need little hatching marks across the surfaces here. And the way I do metal is a little bit different than how I would do fabric. As you can tell, the shoulder pads, they are metal, so I would render that just a tiny bit differently than I would the arms. So again here, light's going around these arms. That's why I'm doing a little bit of hatching, to reinforce the shape of the actual bicep and the tricep here. Those little lines, they do help a lot for sure. Again, reinforcing all these little itty bitty bits here, these wrinkles in the hands, cast shadow from the knives itself. Again, more cross hatching on the chest. And now I'm going to the arm here. Again, trying to make it feel like the light is going around the surface, as opposed to just the very cut shadow there. Again, what this helps, it really helps with volume. It really helps with the volume of the arm whenever I'm adding all these little lines to it here. Now those little lines there on the edge of the arm there, that helps me kind of imitate kind of a highlight on the arm there. Maybe not successful, but that's the intention there. Here I'm adding some darks to the horns itself. Now the helmet itself, it's very metallic. It's very metallic, so I might render this just a tiny bit differently here. So just adding, because it's pretty much gold. And gold, if you look at the surface of gold, it's completely different than a fabric or any type of metal, actually. It's very reflective. Okay, that's why I'm adding a lot of dark marks here. And then you'll notice here I'm adding all these little lines in it, and that helps determine reflection. That's what I'm trying to do here. So here I'm adding these little extra lines here, and what I'm really trying to do here is mimic reflection. That's what all those little lines are in the metal. That's one way to mimic a reflection, is adding those little lines. So I'm not just adding lines in the helmet just for the sake of lines. I'm trying to make it appear as something is reflecting in those surfaces there. So you would see that in the blade of the knife as well as the helmet. Okay, so we're coming to the end here. Now I'm adding some little itty bitty details here, little nicks and scratches. Again, everything's not perfect, but also reinforcing all the little costume details here. So adding a little bit of shadow underneath those lines, but also adding these little dots. You notice that I do that a lot. I add a lot of dots. It just helps it become less perfect, the entire drawing, less perfect. And it gives it that really, gritty feel that I always go for in my particular pieces of art here. Very reminiscent to my heroes, David Finch and Stephen Platt. We do that a lot when it comes to those particular drawings here. Again, here adding in what's it called? Adding in some extra folds there to the bottom. Okay, but at the same time, the belt I believe is metallic. That's what I'm trying to do here. Okay, so adding in those little extras there in the belt, and I believe this part here is part of the shirt. That's why I'm adding in a little bit extra there. Okay, and we're almost done here in terms of the shadow. By the way, this video itself, it is sped up roughly around 3 times. This is 3 times to what my actual drawing speed itself. So this actual shading part, I would say, took roughly around 30 minutes or so, 40 minutes to do. And as you can tell here, of course, under the cape, there won't be any light. Depending on the material, of course, it could be a little translucent. But for my purposes, I just decided to fill that in with a thicker Sharpie. Now, again, guys, if you want to use a better type of pen, by all means go for it. If you even straight India ink would last a lot longer than using this particular marker, but whatever works for you, however you in particular like to draw. But I know there might be a little bit of light going there. That's why I just opted to go with the lines as opposed to just completely filling it in black there, and then just adding a little bit more detail here and there. So we're almost done this particular drawing here. You'll find with me drawing a lot of these Inktober drawings that a lot of the processes are the same, but it's just all the stuff that I think of in my head whenever I'm trying to put these particular drawings together. And here it is. This is the full Loki piece, fully inked. And again, when you get it to this stage, you don't have to do too much when it comes to the colors, because you already determined how the shadow would be played when it comes to the actual coloring of the particular piece here. Again, you could do the exact same thing with darker colors. If you want to go darker colors, you didn't have to use ink in this particular instance. But there it is. That is my Loki piece, and I hope you guys learned a lot while I was doing this. Also, let me know how you like these sped up videos compared to my actual live commentary while drawing. And there it is. This is the final Loki drawing, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, you didn't have to do this in ink. You could have used any material that you wanted to use. And yeah, I'm really excited to see. If you got this far, I would love to see your drawing. So please don't forget to tweet it to me. Tweet it to me at BoxOfficeArtist or on Instagram at BoxOfficeArtist. I would love to see it. In fact, if you send it to me, maybe I'll even share it in one of my videos later on. We'll see how that goes. But thank you for following along. Again, let me know what you think of this entire How to Draw Loki series. I'm really curious and interested in what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. And thank you guys for following along and watching the series. Really does mean a lot to me. And, hopefully I'll have a new tutorial out every single week. So hopefully you're able to follow along. That's what I'm hoping. Again, these are pretty advanced. I'm finding this is more advanced rendering and all of that stuff. So whatever your level is, hopefully you'll at least get something out of these particular tutorials. But thank you for watching. You guys are the best. If you are new here and you like what you see, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, well, I will be your friend for life unless you upset me. Have to throw that little caveat in there. But thank you guys for watching. Please follow me on all social media, all down below. And my name is James. I am the Box Office Artist. Please watch all my videos in the coming, every single day. I drop a brand new video every single day. All my tutorials drop on the weekend, so hopefully you guys can catch that. And thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best. My name is James. I'm the Box Office Artist. I'm here to say keep drawing, and I'll see you all tomorrow.